Hello YouTube. Welcome to the very first video of Counterside free-to-play Is It Worth the series. So I went ahead and cut out the opening to it because it was a lot of training, explaining how the game mechanics work a little bit, and quite a bit of story, honestly, setting up how everything is going into the point of the story where you actually get to start controlling everything. Now there is a bit of training that I'm going to leave in, and as you can see here, I'm naming myself. So while this is going, before we get into the next part, I'm just gonna give a real quick introduction about how the free-to-play series works. So what I do is I go in blind. Basically, all I'm doing, I learn from myself, or I also use comments from my Discord and also from the YouTube comment section, so if you want to help me out in that endeavor, I do appreciate it, but I do not look up guides, I do not look up walkthroughs, I do not look up meta units, so what I do, I figure out on my own, and I kind of make my own mistakes and kind of learn from there. So it gives you a raw experience of what a new player would do if they also follow suit in not following any guides. So we're going straight into a first 10 summon, and this is from the training part, so they automatically make you do this. Now, I didn't get anything too great, I don't believe. I don't know exactly if these are, for the most part, pre-selected or not. I would imagine they're probably random, so if you are into re-rolling or something, it may be a good idea to go in and try to get this one as a gold, which so far seems to be the highest rarity that you can actually pull. Now, I don't know if it's necessary that you need one right away, because I'm sure the early stages are not too bad, but right away I do like the character designs. There's nothing too crazy about them, but they are nice, and they have like an L2D type style, so you get to see a little bit more than just a stagnant unit, which is always fascinating to see, especially when it comes to looking at your home screen. If you get a favorite character and you get to put them on there and they move, that's a lot more enjoyable to look at than a stagnant character, but I don't mind it either way. If the art is great, I'm gonna love it regardless. But moving into looking at some of these summons, now this is one that is a selective recruitment, and you can do it up to 30 times, reminiscent of the Epic 7 way of doing things, where you get to start out on a new one trying to select a specific thing, and it seems that every reroll is a guaranteed 3 stars. So you get a choice from, I think, 4 different employees that are the 3-star rarity in this, because I think I rerolled probably 12 times to see if I could find any new champs that I didn't have or hadn't rolled for me yet, and I think I only saw 4 of them. It could be 5, I could be wrong, I can't remember exactly, but the one I ended up choosing ended up being Elizabeth Pendragon. Now, the reason being mainly because I thought I would want a ranger at first, and then decided, you know, I do love the character design of this one, so why not go for it? So since it's guaranteed that you get one of these out of whatever choice you make, I would assume these are not the most meta heroes. There could be one of them in there that's really good, and I would suggest, if you are starting to play this game, that you actually go in and watch a guide on what would be the most optimal choice starting out. But also, of course, if you want to just do it on your own, pick the one that you like the best, the one that looks the best to you, because for some reason they don't allow you on the summoning screen to actually look at the skills, or as far as I could tell, I could be wrong, there could be a spot that I missed, but I didn't really know what I was getting going into it, so looks were the main thing that I went off of. So the daily reward completion seems to be fairly easy to do. I don't think it'll take too terribly long to actually do them daily, which is a good thing to see, because nobody wants to have to log in and do a 30-minute daily run. But, you know, I've only done it once or twice, so as I unlock things later on, it may get a little faster, maybe longer, who knows, but either way, I think it is a pretty good spot. But I will have to see about the weeklies, and if there are monthlies, how long exactly, or how hard exactly it's going to be. But going into some of the things that I was talking about right now, the skins and different things, as you can see, they are a bit fan-arty, which, hey, I can't blame them whatsoever. I'll show you a little bit more later on so we can actually discuss it a little bit, because it is interesting how they have it set up. But, you know, at the end of the day, If the fan base is happy, that is the best option to go for. But as you can see, I'm already level 3 just from doing a little bit of the daily quest and the weekly ones as well. And as you can see here, there is no monthly, but there is an achievement tab and an emblem tab. Now the emblem one seems to be purely for like bragging rights, that type of thing, where you can put medals on your profile, which is cool. I do like that option, especially if you are really into the kind of brag-worthy part of it. Kind of like Arknights has the medals, though I don't dabble in getting all of those most of the time because I have, so much to do other than that. But looking in the mail real quick, this is always something I very much enjoy on a new account because you get to actually see, how generous they are to the new player. And I think this one is actually pretty decent. I don't know what some of the stuff does, but the purple cube looking things, the gems, whatever you want to think of them as, is actually your energy, and that seems to be quite a lot of energy. I'm well over capped. So in the next video, when we go through the first week, I'll actually try my best to spend as much as I can so I don't waste the actual regen. But here are some of these skins, and as you can see, these are purchasable with the gems that you get from doing certain things. You also use them for your recruitment tab. Now I believe right now, as far as I've looked through, these are the only ones that are currently available for those. The other ones are generally through the spending aspect. So I guess if they come out at certain times, you can purchase them yourself, which is very nice for a free-to-play player, being able to have skins. But if you miss your opportunity, I don't know how often they come around, which could be a problem. Now there may be a way to trade up some of the gems for the things that you would normally purchase, but I don't exactly know yet. There's a lot that I still have to go through, a lot that I haven't figured out. But as you can see here, some more skins, and they call them skin sets. I didn't really look in them too deep, but you can see these green little icon things. These are actual what you spend for most of the shop purchases. These are going to be with real world transactions. So if you are a free-to-play player, you're going to basically avoid those. So those will never be an occurrence for you. I don't know if they actually give them out for maintenance or something like that. Probably not. They just probably stick with the normal, everyone receives the gems type thing. But going into the first stage where I actually get to select my team, it seems that I'm able to get 8 deployment slots. Now I don't know if that's something that is going to change over time. I've seen a couple stages where they were pre-selected, up to 4 of them, and then I could have 4 of my own in after. And since there are different classes and different things they have to do, I'm going to have to really look and really figure out what exactly I need to do and how to start out my deployment, that kind of thing, because some of them are going to want to sit back. They're not going to be able to tank. Things can run in. There's counters for each type of class, so there's a lot to juggle all at once, and having a way of getting everything out without getting a lot of them destroyed early on is the main focus. So you're going to see me doing a terrible job of that right now, because that is obviously my first regular run. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but one thing I do like about Elizabeth Pendragon is that she has a deploy skill ability. So she does a big nuke at the first of her deployment, so if you can deploy her right on units, that is a good thing, but obviously don't have it to where she's tanking, because she goes down very quickly. As the Ranger class, she's not going to be that tanky. You're going to have some of the more melee focused units deal some of that, and I still don't know exactly how long it's going to take me to figure out all the different classes and all the different subclasses that is going to make a big difference. But as you can see here, the very first mission, I only got an A. I did not 3-star it because, well, you had to do it in 1 minute, and I guess I did not have them either high enough level, or maybe I just didn't do a good enough job of deploying. But that is something I'm going to have to get a lot better at as this week goes on, and with the energy that I do have available currently, I should do a little bit better. But some of the free units they give you, like Yumina, is actually pretty decent. I don't think she's that bad, and as you can see on the left side, it said Ranger, Ground type, and all-around attack for Elizabeth Pendragon here. Now it says forward deployment as well. I don't exactly know what they mean by that yet, but the all-around attack is basically that they can attack ground, and they can also attack air, because there's some units that can only attack ground, and there's probably some units that can only attack air, so you have to be really careful how you do your deployment, or otherwise you're going to get that unit knocked out, or they're going to do damage to your ship, which is a big problem. But as you can see here, you get the employee type, which there's 4 types currently displayed here, and then there are also multiple roles which is going to be something that I'm going to be looking at a lot to try to figure out counters and figure out the best situation, because 8 units to deploy to a mission is a good thing, but it also means that I'm going to have to be very careful with what I put out there, and also trying to get a certain units out in specific orders. Now, I don't know if it's random popping up or not, because I think, at least in this demonstration, this stage, this is a pre-selected squad, so not necessarily something that I'm going to be using all the time. As you can see, they're all level 9, which I don't think I had any of mine leveled up to that point. But as I mentioned before, I do appreciate when people give me tips in the comments, so if you want to, feel free to give me tips on that. Feel free to roast me for my terrible play. I don't care what it is. I appreciate your comments, and I always try to answer as many of them as I possibly can while I have time. Sometimes there are a lot of comments, and I can't quite get to all of them, but I will eventually. So anything you want to let me know in this would be fantastic. But as you saw there, I got an S, which I believe is the highest rating you can get for a stage. I usually get either A or S. I haven't dropped below that yet because I at least have enough power to get to the second one currently. But going back to the recruitment screen, I'm looking at the normal recruitment, and these are your just standard pulls. You're going to get a lot of these blue books, as I've kind of been able to pull about 20 or 30 different times so far, so it's pretty good. And I would say, you know, with the insured recruitment part of 150, that is good. But looking at the classified recruitment, these seem to be your big boys, the big damage dealers, the crazy, probably more meta units, but they are very, very hard to get. As you can see, you can get a purchase count for 2750 of those quartz, or whatever it's exactly called on this one, which are the harder to get things. So for a free-to-play player, you may have to save up for quite some time before you're able to get one of these, and I don't know how often you actually get the recruitments for them either. Hopefully it's not always worth quartz. I would imagine they have some way or some reward system where you can actually get them a little at a time. That way, if you can save up for a little bit, maybe there is a meta unit that is coming out at some point, you can save up enough to guarantee that you're going to be in a really good spot. Now, though that is a problem in a way with the dupe system, because the way of making your hero naturally stronger is through dupes. So gonna be a bit of a hard time for a free-to-play player, but I don't know if it's necessary exactly, unless you're trying to be the cream of the crop, the top of the food chain. And realistically, as a free-to-play, it's not going to happen in basically any gacha game. It is just facts. But do know I absolutely love whales in gacha games, because without you, the free-to-play experience would not exist. So a big shout out to all the spinners out there, especially the Leviathans out there spinning a ton. Nothing but love from me. But as you can see here, this skin is based off the green tokens. You spend them in the event, and once you get to like a certain amount, you get that new skin. So as a free-to-play player, I'm going to have to say bye-bye to that skin, unfortunately, though I don't know how hard that character is to get in general. So, you know, nothing lost there. I just want ones for someone like Elizabeth Pendragon, which I will show you some of her skins later on, which are also apparently not available from the normal quartz, which is sad. But maybe in an event in the future they will come on rotation, something like that. Somebody can let me know in the comments just how they do the skin systems. If they release one and you don't get it in time off release, do they actually shuffle back into the court shop at some point? Because if they do, I would absolutely love that. But you got to see a very fast ultimate skill there from Elizabeth, dropping a giant sword down for doing some decent nuke damage. And at one point I was manually activating the ultimate skills, but I decided to turn on to it auto them, because half the time I try to click it and I misclick multiple times. So I'm going to let the AI do that for me for the moment until I actually need to do it manually. But I'm just showing you some of the missions because I don't want to water down this video with too much different things. But we go back to another tin pull, and on this one I actually pull another yellow, and I was very excited for a new 3-star, and it's actually a dupe of Elizabeth Pendragon. Now, I'm not upset about that, because that actually allows me to show you in the very first day just how the dupe system works. So we're going into here, it's doing a part of the tutorial thing to tell me exactly how to expand the limits of your characters here, so you can enhance them with these. They give it you 20 of them automatically for the tutorial purpose, and you can take them from a 2 to a 3. So that is actually how you take up the star level of your champs. Now, I don't know how hard these are going to be to get. I haven't been able to unlock any yet. But the skill training is also a way of upgrading the skills for your character. So starting at 3, I believe they probably have all of the regular skills unlocked. Anything below that is going to have some of them not available to you yet. Now, there could be different things that I haven't seen yet that will come in the future, but here is where you actually unlock the next level or use your dupe. So what it does is amps their damage by 4% at the first dupe, which is actually pretty good. And looking at what they give you, I don't think it's actually necessary for most of them to actually be enhanced at all. I think, if anything, it's probably something that's more for the welling aspect if you want to get as min-max as you possibly can with any of your characters. Also, there's one thing that I'm not going to show in the video, but I'm going to talk briefly about, and that is the gear that you can equip to your character. So I believe they drop in different stages, and there's probably events that give them as well, but you can actually equip them to your character to add extra stats. Some of the gear seems to be locked behind sets, depending on how strong the gear actually is. But it seems to be really nice setup, kind of more in the Epic 7 style, I think, because you're having to get a certain amount of pieces to get the crit damage bonus or something, depending on whatever class that specific piece of gear is. But looking into the battle pass, as you can see here, there is obviously going to be a free-to-play part and a spending part. The spending part looking very juicy, having some really good options. But as you can see here, the admin coins are the purchasable part. So if there is a way to convert it, I will love that, but I'll have to check into that later on. I would imagine there is not, but either way, not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not going to worry about it too much, but as we're going into it, this is what it looks like for some of these skins for Elizabeth Pendragon. They're actually pretty good. I do like these. The bunny one is actually really nice because, as you can see, the in-game version of them is really cool as well. So, you know, I'm not gonna lie, if I have an opportunity to get it, I am going to get those for sure. But here I am using one of the free SSR tickets that I had, and it's a bit strange because there are some of these characters that are look more weak than anything, because they are just your regular looking units. Now, I don't know how good they can actually be. Maybe they are good in certain situations, but you would think the ones that look more like individual characters are going to be the better option. So these are probably just ones you can use a little bit early on to get some extra help. But either way, I will take it. I will try to use them and see if they're viable for some of these options that I have. But either way, going into some of these missions, you can see I'm having a bit of a hard time keeping things alive, and that's mainly because I don't have enough defender units. I actually unlocked an SR version of a defender unit here recently, and so that gave me the option to actually probably tank for just a little bit and then try to keep my rangers alive as much as possible. I know that the more melee based units are probably going to be a lot more tanky in comparison, so just having some warriors or whatever exactly each class is called, I haven't completely figured out. Do mind that I am playing multiple gacha games at the same time, so there's a lot that I end up mislabeling, or sometimes I'll take a specific piece of equipment and just call it something from a different game. So if I do slip on that, you can just let me know, but do realize that I just get jumbled up in my times a little bit. But as you can see here, just from completing some of the missions, I got a free SSR unit, which is going to be great. It's going to be great help. I do think they do a pretty decent job of giving you a lot early on for a new player, so you have options going forward, especially with that selective summon part. That is a fantastic idea, and I'm glad they have it in here. But that is going to be the last summon of the video, and basically the end of the video. So this was just day one. I will try to do as much as I can for the second week, but that's going to be it for me, guys. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.